Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Madness Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Hello, everyone, and welcome to... I had an echo there for real briefly. Welcome to Silver Sunday on this May 1st, 2022.
Oh.
We're on May.
Hello.
Already.
We are on May. That's right.
Yeah. It's here. It's
dear.
flying by. How's everyone?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. I'm still trying to share the link on Facebook. You know, every time I try to share on Facebook, I get that stupid little spinning wheel. I just spins and spins and spins and spins and spins, and I'm like, well, you don't want me to share it or something? I don't get it. I don't understand. So, all right, shared it with another group there. So, before we launch into everything, let me fix my little thing over here so I can see the comments here. Welcome, everyone. Want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. For a minute there, I was like, wait, that's who it is. Daytona Beach It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? September 10th and 11th. So make your plans. Daytona Beach Comic Con. Great Comic Con in the area. If you like comic books, that's the place to be. So thank you, Daytona Beach Comic Con, for always sponsoring us. We appreciate you very much. Coliseum of Comics. if you want, if you're in the Orlando area and you need to find some comics, some Silverline comics, check with Coliseum of Comics on East Colonial. They have got your Silverline as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. So check out Coliseum of Comics. And we're actually going to have you guys next week. Aaron, who owns Coliseum of Comics, who owns 2 of them. It's a franchise, the way I understand it. He owns 2 of them, and he owns the one on East Colonial. He is going to join us, and we're going to talk about independent comics and comic retailers and things like that. So that should be fun. Yeah. So you guys bring your questions on how can we, what can we do to sell more comics at comic shops to retailers. And of course, shout out to OCD, Orlando Collector Deviants. You want to get news on all the stuff that's happening around Florida, all the shows around Florida. Steve and Trish often do walkthroughs of shows. If you can't go, you can kind of walk through with them and see what's on the floor. And of course, to Kablam, Tommy's wearing the shirt today. So we love our Kablam here at Silverline. So shout out to Kablam. Royal Airship says, 3 Rivers Comic Con next month. See you there. That's right. Roland, will be making my first ever appearance in the state of Pennsylvania.
Nice.
At 3 Rivers Comic Con. I've been invited up there, and so it's in the Pittsburgh area. And Rory and Scott are planning to make the trek over from wherever they are in New York, I think. Rory's not in New York anymore. He's west of that, I think anyway. I think he's over in Illinois, Ohio, somewhere.
I thought he was living in Scott's basement.
Yeah.
He's not?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
And I think Scott's in New York. I think Mackenzie even talked about popping in. She is there in the Pennsylvania area with, I don't know if she's bringing her dinosaurs or not, but she might.
Yeah.
Roy says he is in Ohio.
Oh,
I knew it was somewhere west of that, but I couldn't remember where I will be. He will be living in Scott's basement, is what he means. Yeah, he says Scott's in West New York. So, Willie Peppers, what is up, Willie Peppers? How the heck are you?
A long time since I've heard that name.
Yeah.
How's it going, Willie?
What's that?
I said, how's it going?
Yeah. Willie Peppers did a nice little version of Cat and Mouse. He drew, for those of you Cat and Mouse fans, he did, I want to say it's 4 pages that saw print in the Malibu Sun.
Oh, really?
And yep, and we were getting ready to bring them into the Protectors universe at the time, and Willie was possibly going to be doing the art. Willie says he's hanging in there, and he had done 4 pages, kind of as a welcome back. Here we are again with Cat and Mouse, inked by none other than Jeff Whiting.
Oh wow!
It looks very, very cool. But yeah, that's one of those very rarely seen adventures of Cat and Mouse. Just a 4-page adventure, and that was supposed to be kind of the kickstart. Of course, if you know that unfortunately that never happened, but it is what it is. Willie says would really like to get in with you guys. Willie, all you got to do is say the word to me. You
said that, Willie. No.
Now you're in for it.
You're in for it now.
Yeah.
Give Roland about an hour and a half when we're done with this agreement. He'll be sending you a script.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that. I've always been a fan of Willie's work, so love those 4 pages that he did with Cat and Mouse, and wish that would have happened. Alas, it didn't. That's just the way it goes. Willie says, "All right, here, you guys."
Uh-oh.
Willie, wait. Willie,
messed
you
up
do
now.
Throwing down.
realize that we're
You
live
just-
here. This is
you
going
just
out
messed
for
up.
all of the world to see. So, some people say, as God is my witness, I'm going to say, as the internet world is my witness here. Willie has said the word.
Willie done messed up now. What you talking about, Willie? You messed up, bud.
Yeah, you can count on hearing from me before
Before 10 o'clock.
before May 1st is over. Yeah. We have a lot of fun, and that's what it's about, making comics, having fun. And we love comics. That's why we're here. Oh, look at this. Hey, you guys, I want you all to pay attention. Here we go. Ready? Willie says, "I'm in."
I'm in. Oh,
That's cool.
Yes, that's exciting. Now it makes me want to go find those pages.
I'm trying to remember if I ever inked them on anything. It seems like I filled in on something that he was working on. It feels like it. I don't remember.
It's possible.
I don't think. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't recall. I know that. So the funny thing about it is, I had over the years, you know how things happen when you move and that kind of thing. Over the years, I had, I thought I had photocopies, and I had a lettered version of the pencils that Willie did, but I don't have a copy of the Malibu Sun that it was printed in. I don't own a copy, so I know that it was there, but I don't own a copy, and I've looked for it. Yes, I have. And I was doing, a couple years back. This is just like 3 years ago, right? I'm doing a bunch of conventions with our buddy Jeff Whiting, and he pulls out, "Hey, look what I found." And I'm like, because here's the other thing. I couldn't remember who inked it. I could not remember who inked it. And Jeff says, "Hey, look what I found." And I'm like, and because if I'm not mistaken, I only had 3 pages. I knew it was 4. And I'm like, "Oh, you have these pages? What the heck?" Right? And he's like, "Yeah." And so I said, "Can I borrow these, please? I will get them back to you." And so I took them and made really good scans of them. And so nice. I have all 4 of those pages now. But they look really good. So Willie says that didn't you ink a gravestone that he did? I bet you did. I bet that's what it was.
Yes.
Oh, I like Drake. I like that one.
Yeah,
that was a good character.
I bet it was. I bet it was gravestone.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. You know what? Keep talking.
He's gonna go find the pages.
I remember I got my Bluetooth on so I can hear you if you guys are talking crap about me.
What would we ever talk?
Yes.
Crap about
Yeah,
Thomas
we would.
Mantovani?
Yes.
It's been done.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Those were Protectors Days were a lot of fun. I think they were for me.
I remember George Perez did that great double-sided cover for when they did the Genesis crossover, and Cat and Mouse was on that, right?
Yes, they were.
That was gorgeous.
You know the sad part of that cover though?
What?
So when the cover elements got put on, the Malibu logo went right on top of Cat and Mouse.
Oh man!
Oh, that's not cool.
It was just the product placement kind of thing, and not product placement. That's the wrong. The logo element placement. It wasn't intentional, but once the logo and all that it covered them up, and you're like, well, that's their legs right there. You can see them. I know, and so that's all that matters. You know? But I do have an uncut cover.
Oh, nice.
In a frame of that. Look, Tommy, is that the original artwork you're going through?
It just so happens this is the last of all of my original artwork, and I'm going to see if there's any of the pages in here.
Hold that stack up again.
I want to
That
see.
was a huge stack. Look at that stack.
No, this is it used to be like 10 times as big worth of stuff. I mean, it was when you're inking 2 books a month, you get a ton of pages. I don't have this is it. This is the last of my original. No, well, that's not it. That's not the truth. We're doing with all the Kickstarters, we try to do 3 or 4 pages on paper, but the rest
Right.
of it's all digital. I'll let you know if I find one.
Speaking of Kickstarters, you guys, we've got a new one launching this Thursday on May the 5th. It's our science, I think we call it sci-fi extravaganza. It's going to have 3 comics and 1 Kickstarter. Going to be Beyond the Stars, which is written by Ron Fortier with art by, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Andrea Bormida, who we've invited here. He's an Italian guy, and has letters from Mike W. Belcher. It is finished, and these guys have already got some quotes from some personalities in the comics that you'll be seeing from us as we promote the book. So it's pretty exciting. The other one is going to be The Obsoletes, first issue, written by Wes Loker, with pencils by our own Aaron Humphreys, and inks by Jose Fuentes, with colors by Haley Martin, and Wes is lettering that one as well. So it's the first issue of that one. And then Cray #1 Remix, which is written by yours truly, with pencils by Stephen Butler, inks by Ken Branch. This goes way back. One of the first letters that ever worked with us, Nick McCaleb, lettered that one. And then Jeremy Kahn has done the digital remastering coloring of that one. So it's going to be a giant size comic book. And we think you guys are going to absolutely love it. We're excited to put that in your hands. So don't forget that's going to start on, it's going to launch on Thursday. If you subscribe to our email list, I'll send you out something probably on Tuesday as a reminder that it's going to start. Maybe even have a sneak peek at some of the images that you won't see until the Kickstarter starts. So subscribe to that email list, which also brings me to Curtis. Do the honors. Like, share, subscribe.
Oh, and
Would it?
don't forget to like, hit, and subscribe.
That's
and
right.
Share.
Don't really hit. I mean, hit the like button, then share and subscribe.
Yeah, we're not encouraging violence here.
But you got to add, if you don't like it, hit the thumbs down button twice just to really stick it to us.
Exactly.
Yeah. I always say, on some of the YouTube channels that I watch, they're like, hit that bell. And I'm like,
Hit the bell. Bing,
What?
the Liberty Bell.
yeah. I'm like, what bell? I don't have a bell around here.
I always think it's funny when they hold the stream hostage. So they're like, "Hey, I see that there's 20 people in the chat, and we only have 2 likes." They just stop and hold the stream hostage until
They do that thing, looking at the analytics. I see that we have, 15,000 views, but there's only 15 subscribers. We need more subscribers.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah, little telethon like.
Yeah, I think BJ and I've been talking about running some kind of competition again to try to get some of the numbers up with shares and that kind of thing, shares and tags and stuff. Working with our intern Eric, who's been giving us a lot of good info about that. So hopefully we'll be doing something like that in the future. We won't be doing it during a Kickstarter, obviously, or maybe that might be the time to do it. Run it during a Kickstarter. I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah, I my first thought was like, yeah, we don't want to do that to conflict with a Kickstarter, but that actually might be the time to do it. To share this out, and you'll be entered into some kind of contest.
Might be a good time.
So anyway, yeah. So if you haven't already followed the Kickstarter page, go over there and follow that. So you will be notified upon launch. Tommy, did you find pages?
I didn't have any.
You didn't have any?
No,
Already sold those.
They've been bought. Apparently, I knew that there was some in there, but
And that's the beauty of original art, is that there's only one. So when you own it, that's yours, right? No one else has that. And we've always got original art on our Kickstarters. So so you guys make sure that if you're an original art fan, you do that. We're going to have some commissions, that sort of thing. So make sure you get there early so you can get in on all that. So anything else, guys, before we get on to our topic?
Well, not
Yeah,
to
I
be
need to quit Chrome so that I can try to share.
well
So-
while she
Okay.
while she does that, not to be a downer, but I think we should acknowledge the passing of Neil Adams.
Oh man.
Just major contributor to the industry, to the medium, and big proponent of creator rights. And
Absolutely.
just I don't think there's anybody that has quite the impact he has in the way he had it. So I think we should acknowledge him.
That
Neil-
was sad to hear.
Yeah.
So-
I've got a couple of nil stories ish.
Yeah.
So you probably remember, Curtis, Joel Adams is his son.
Mhm.
And when I was at Malibu, I hired Joel to do some stuff for me. I had no idea he was Neil Adams' son. In fact, I didn't know he was Neil Adams' son until, because you remember, I got out of the industry for a while, and so it may have come out, but I didn't know it until around 2017 when Joel and I were at a show together with Neil Adams. And they were kind of back to back the way they were. So there were banners, and I'm standing there talking to Joel. Say, hey, Joel, nice to finally meet you in the person, blah, 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 in the flesh, blah, blah, blah. And we sit there and chat for a little while, and he's talking, and then my dad, and then Neil, and I'm like, wait, Neil Adams is your dad? And he goes, yeah, you didn't know that? I'm like, I had no clue that he was your dad. I'm like, what the heck? Why didn't you say that back when we worked together? And he goes, I didn't want you. I wanted to get a job on my own. I didn't want you to hire me just because I was Neil's son. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I guess that makes total sense. Yeah. So it was a dead show. So I won't call the name of the show, but nobody came. And so I literally kind of spent the day running around talking to Neil, running around talking to Joel, running around talking to Neil, picking my table, right? And I was kind of stirring some trouble because Neil had this thing about charging.
Sorry, I was behind the scenes.
Neil had this thing about charging for autographs.
Yeah,
and he had a very public dispute with another personality, and so Joel didn't charge for his autograph. Right. So Joel has won, he's won awards for television shows and things like that. Right. So for his art on those shows, King of the Hill, I think is what he does. And so I went over to Neil and I said, Neil, there's this guy sitting right behind you who does not charge for his autograph. Neil was drawing when I was first starting, and he kind of threw his pen down, kind of like, he goes, I know it. And I've told him so many times he needs to start charging for his autograph. Right. And we had a fun. Nobody came, right? So there were very few attendees, but it was one of those things. We had a fun show, even though, hey, Roberta, I see your artwork now.
Yay!
You got it to work. Go Beans.
Yeah, we had a fun show, even though there were so few attendees. It was a pretty sad showing. So.
That's funny you said that about Neil Adams. I only met him once at a convention, and this is of course when I was working at Malibu, and I had a sketchbook that I was fortunate to get a lot of people to do sketches in, and a fair amount of them were people that I knew at Malibu or knew through people. And I remember there were two people at conventions that would not draw a thing, and they had no problem just saying no as a complete sentence, and it was Gil Kane and Neil Adams. They just and rightfully so. But I still remember I went up to him and I thought, oh, I'm just this young impressionable kid. He'll do something for me. And he looked at me cold in the eyes and just said no, and walked away.
You had to try.
And same thing with Gil Kane. But I think the thing people have to understand, there's no retirement plan for any of these guys. There's it's a tough life. So I get it, and I forget who, but I had heard the story that at some convention, I don't know which artist, but somebody at a convention went up to him, asked for a sketch. He did the sketch, and then he literally saw the guy take the sketch, walk across the aisle to somebody else, and sell it right then and there, because the person was too scared to ask. So I get it.
Yeah. Well, and I remember talking to Jimmy Palmiotti one time about Amanda Connor, and now I know Jimmy. I don't know Amanda, and he's like, one of the, I can't remember if she stopped doing sketches or she started charging sketches for them or something like that, or whatever it was. But he was like, what happened is that she was at a show one day and she did a couple of sketches for this one person. And the very next day she saw them on eBay and she knew that it was those exact sketches because, you know, she's like, that's the only time I've drawn that character. So some kind of story like that. But, you know, she had done them. And then this person goes and takes them on eBay and jacks up the price. And it's like, that's not right. Come on, you know?
Yeah, no good.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Willie says here, he said, Neil was one of the greats and one of my favorites. You're absolutely right, Willie. And I think he was a favorite to a lot of folks. Pete, did Neil ever come over to the Kubert School and talk?
I think he came to the school a lot.
Oh, really?
Maybe a lot. It's an exaggeration. Not when I was there, but he had obviously been there when Joe was there.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah. I know there are photos, recent photos of him being at the school, but not when I was there.
Yeah.
Not when I was there, I don't think so.
So you never had the opportunity to have him tear up your portfolio, huh?
Thank God, no. We obviously you go to conventions and we went as a school. You go to the New York Comic Con, and some students were, you can say, brave or stupid enough to ask for a review. He told one student, he said, "I'll give you $20 if you go away."
Wow. Smart is getting paid by Neil Adams.
And one of my friends in my year, I think he offered him the same thing and said, "No, man, I really want you." So he looked at it and he just tore him to pieces. Basically.
Oh my gosh!
See, that's the Neil that I know because I've sat
we
a couple of times at shows and listening to his antics. Always fun, but it's like that's the Neil that I know.
Yeah.
So I saw no benefit in doing that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Dean Zachary had Neil look at his portfolio. I think I've never seen him do it. I've heard the stories, and I've heard they are horror stories that he just rips into them.
Yeah.
Are they fair though? Is he fair at least, or is it just, you know?
No, of course I was the best. I don't know why he would tell me I was bad.
You can take his critique, and you come back the next year and show him something else.
Yeah,
then good for you. But yeah, he was there to make money, not to
right. Yeah,
do that.
Yeah,
I don't know how he did it. He must have done a convention a week for years.
Yeah. Even up to the
Every
end.
convention I ever went to, he's
big 4 booths type of thing.
All of his prints and everything. He had all kind of prints laid out, and I remember when the big Batman omnibus came out, he was really pushing that thing. That was expensive though. I want to say that thing was like $80 or something like that.
Wow. I
mean, it was nice, or maybe it's more than that. I don't remember. But yeah, he was pushing that. I remember, I think it was that same show, or maybe even a different one. I was talking to him in the morning before the show started, and just chit chatting with him. And somebody came up and brought a Detective 27 and an Action something. I don't think it was Action Comics 1, but they were 2 really early comics. And Neil looked at me and said, "You don't often see those 2 together, do you?" I was like, "No, you don't." No telling how much money that guy was, in the form of comics, that guy was carrying around.
Wow.
So yeah, it's we did absolutely lose one of the great ones this week, and it was kind of a sad reminder, or maybe a slap in the face reminder to all of us that we are all mortal, and we need to make sure to do the things that we want to do while we're here, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to end up being, I don't anyway, don't want to end up being, 80 years old and thinking, man, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have done that. Now, we all wish we'd had more money, but, but that's just the way that is, right? What else? Anything else before we kick in?
Can't think of too much else.
All right. Well, let's get on to our topic of the day. We are going to talk about Free Comic Book Day today, and we'll just run through for the podcast here, so that people will know our voices. I'm Roland, and Curtis. Say hi to everybody.
Hi to everybody. How you doing? I'm Curtis Futura.
Pete, introduce yourself.
Ahoy, hoy. Did you want me to say more?
Just say I'm Peter Clinton.
Oh,
Well, maybe I just said it for you.
I draw Silverline team up. I do other stuff.
Yep,
But I'm a penciler, just a penciler.
that's right.
Just a penciler.
You still need
It's
that.
soon to be daddy.
Still need that website.
Yeah, it's not long now.
Yeah. Freshly married and soon to be a dad. Woo!
Yeah.
Man, 2022
Doing it
is
all this
one for the books for
Last
you.
month.
Tommy, you want to say hi?
Hello, Thomas Flamonti. There you go.
Excellent.
Hello.
And last but not least is Ruby. Ruby, you want to say hi to
Hello.
everybody?
Hi. So I color Cat and Mouse and Silverline team up champion Miss Fury. So that's me.
And for those of you who are watching on the screen, Roberta, what are you working on right now?
I am working on Cat and Mouse right now. This is number 13, page 13.
Page 13 of issue number 4. So
Mhm.
for those of you
Getting there, getting closer, getting
Yep,
closer.
those of you who are sending me emails that say, when are we going to see Cat and Mouse number 4? Well, you're
It's
seeing
coming.
some of it right now.
It's coming.
So we are on the way. So yeah, and I'm excited about that.
So close, so close.
So Free Comic Book Day. So or if you see it, FCBD, right? I know it's funny because I've sent my wife messages for FCBD, and she's like, "What is that? What does that mean?" It's like, what is FCBD? I'm like, "Oh, it says Free Comic Book Day." It's like everybody knows Free Comic Book Day. So a little bit of history, and I had to dig this up. I kind of knew it, but I didn't know the exacts. But what I did know is that it was started by Joe Field, who is a retailer. I think he's out in California, but he's a big retailer guy. Been around for a long time. If I'm not mistaken, Joe Field was a supporter of Malibu back in the day as well. But it started in 2002, so that would make this the 21st this coming weekend. So Free Comic Book Day this year is it's this coming Saturday. What's the day? It's 7th.
No calendar.
7th, yeah, it's May the 7th. So Free Comic Book Day this year is May the
But
7th.
it only started in the 2000s. For some reason, it just feels like it's been forever. You know, like it's always been there, kind of a thing.
It started in 2002.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, that's 21 years ago. So
Yeah, no, it feels like you know, back when I was doing the Malibu stuff, it was going on, but apparently not. I guess not.
no, it was there was no Free Comic Book. We would have remembered that. That would have been Malibu would have made a big deal out of that. I saw Tom Mason post once. Someone said, you know, had the Kickstarter been around when Malibu was around, would Malibu have used it? Tom Mason's answer was absolutely, certainly we would have used it. And I think that is certainly one of the things about Malibu's marketing department. They were not afraid to try stuff. You know, yeah, let's try this. What is this? We don't know. Is it going to work? We don't know. Let's try it. You know, but what it is, it's a Free Comic Book Day is a promotional push by the comic book industry. It is a concentrated push by the comic book industry to get people into comic book shops and introduce them to comic books. Okay, millions of comic books are given away to fans, new and old alike. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I don't know this for a fact, but I would say that probably more than half of them, from my experience having done them, I'm going to say that probably more than half of what's picked up are by fans anyway, not necessarily new people.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't realize, and this is one of the things I think that you know, it's called Free Comic Book Day, but the retailers have to pay for that, right? So when you walk into your retail shop and you look at the hundreds of books they have on the tables that are quote unquote free, it wasn't free to your retailer. Your retailer had to pay for those. Now, I don't know exactly how it works from a publisher point of view, but those guys not really losing money either. Now, they're probably not making money, but they're probably saying, I don't know, and I'm just going to toss out cost here. They're probably saying, okay, look, it cost us 50 cents to print a unit. You got to give me 50 cents, and then all the rest of this is yours. That would be my guess, because I can't imagine publishers. Of course, they might have, say, a nickel a book or whatever as expenses for advertising expenses or something like that. But that could get to be a lot when you're talking about, again, millions of comics.
Yeah, because they do give out a lot.
Yep. Yeah. So my first knowledge of Free Comic Book Day, I guess I'd heard about it kind of when I was out of comics, but I guess it was around 2014. When did the Avengers movie come out? Avengers Age of Ultron. Anybody know?
Age of Ultron or the second one?
Yeah, Age of Ultron.
Hmm.
It was 2015.
Okay.
So 2015 was probably the first one I did.
Okay.
And I was invited by Coliseum of Comics. The same Coliseum of Comics who carries all of our comics. I was invited by Coliseum of Comics to show up at their store, and they had this huge. They must have had 20 tables out there, but they were in a mall, and so they had a bunch of creators right out in the the hallway in the mall, and we all just sat up there, and people. And this was a great location too, because people were going to see Age of Ultron. They were coming down the escalators, and it would empty them right into us. So you got to remember, hundreds of people saw that movie that day, right? Because this was a Saturday, and because you had to come. Well, you could take the steps on the other side, but most people go to the mall, they take the escalators, and literally it would empty them right into our tables, and so they would just, oh look, there's a comic shop, and they would just kind of funnel right through us and into the comic shop and out. It was a great day.
That's cool.
It was a fantastic day. So that was my first experience with the Free Comic Day on any level. Curtis, what about you? What was your first experience with Free Comic Book Day?
There was a comic book shop. I no longer go to them for customer service reasons.
Okay. Let's don't call them by name then.
They get no shout out here. Thank you very much. Yeah, I went to their location. They had Free Comic Book Day, and it was cool. It was like it's like a celebration. I mean, they had all the tables, and I think they had it where you could get 5 books. You couldn't like get everything, of course.
Right. Yeah.
But you pick your 5, and then and of course knowing what I know about it, I made sure to purchase a couple extra books, on my own while I was there, to support and all that. But it was cool. I don't know if I really saw that many people that were outside of the comic book kind of fandom there, because this place was kind of on its own. But it was neat. It was neat, and great opportunity to to look at different books and see things like, I think I got a copy of Captain Canadian or Captain Canuck? It was one of those books, like a Canadian Captain.
Oh yeah, Captain Canuck. Yeah,
Captain Canuck. I got a Captain Canuck book. I remember that. So it was cool. It was really cool. Yeah, that's pretty much my exposure, my initial exposure to it. So, do they do that overseas, Pete? Over on your end?
We have Free Comic Book Day here. I've never done one, and I've never been to a store while it's been on.
Okay.
My local comic book store doesn't get involved, just because the amount of other books you have to order in order to qualify for free comics.
Sure.
It's a waste of money. They just end up with books just sat there with, we're never going to sell them.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Free Comic Book Day books themselves?
Those, and to qualify for the free comics, I think you have to order a certain amount of, this is how I understood it, a certain amount of books themselves.
Non-Free Comic Day books.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Which-
didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's how I understood it. This is going back a while, so that's how I understood it. And they sort of know that was a waste of money. They weren't going to get involved, and it doesn't for them. It didn't bring new people into the store.
Yeah.
The people that came to the store were the people who are going to come to the store anyway.
Right.
It wasn't like suddenly there's going to be an influx of civilians. Oh wow! We can go to the comic store today. I don't think it works.
Yeah, I'm with Pete on that, and I think too. I think it actually says free comic book day, so it's not like you could turn around the next week and recoup your cost and sell these. I mean, now you just have product that,
They're all
And-
stamped too. They're all stamped.
Where do they advertise it's free comics except in a comic store
Yeah.
or in a comics magazine?
Yeah.
It's not like you can walk down the street and see a billboard, free comic book day this Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the only people that know about it are the people in the comic store anyway.
Right.
This is the whole problem. This is the problem with comic book stores. The only place you get comic books is in one place, and you can't just go into your local, whatever you call them, 7-Eleven, and pick them up anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
people who don't know comics and who don't actually go and like comics and get comics don't see comics. So
Yeah.
Well, and that was kind of what I was saying earlier. Kind of my experience has been that the overwhelming majority of people I see coming through because I guess I've pretty much done Free Comic Book Day almost every year since 2015. I won't be doing it this year. Brett's girlfriend is graduating that day, and so I'm going to her college graduation. So I'll
that sounds like a him problem.
Brett's problem?
Yeah.
Well, it's his girlfriend.
You're not dating her. You don't have to go, do you?
No. She's a sweetheart, so we're gonna go. We like her pretty well, so we're gonna go and watch her walk. It's not a one of these huge colleges, so hopefully it won't. It
That's
won't
some time you're never going to get back.
Wow.
Never going to get that time back.
Oh, Pete, you're so
See
hard.
what happens. See what happens.
Pete's only been married for a week or so now, and he's already earned him a black. It's already.
Get that time back.
He's already messed up, man. I am so sorry.
So when those people talk to you and you just say to them, I'm never going to get this time back. Smile and wave.
Well, the good answer is always, I have less important things to do with my time. That always goes over well.
I think I'm just going to sit at the house and take a nap. Sorry, I can't make it.
I'm just gonna go over there now. And just walk into a corner on your own.
I can't make it because I'm busy. What are you doing? Nothing. I'm not going.
Anything. If you just text her and say, look, I like you, but I don't like you that much. And
happy graduation.
yeah, I like you, but I don't like you that much. So enjoy. Best of luck to you.
Congratulations. Sorry. Damn it.
Pete, I think you missed your call.
Congratulations on whatever this is. It's not my problem.
I think you missed your call, and I think we need the line of Peter Clinton greeting cards, for the holidays.
Oh man, those would be great. Happy birthday! Sorry I couldn't be there. No, I'm really not sorry. Happy birthday anyway.
It's a waste of time
So
to get this card. So. Anyway, you guys enjoy that. It's gonna be a really good day for you. I didn't go to my own graduation. So.
Which Cuba school?
Not my Cuba school one. I would have gone to that because that would have been fun.
Yeah.
No, my previous university.
Gotcha. Yeah.
What a waste of time.
Yeah, I didn't go to mine either.
But you're going to go to someone you barely know.
I don't barely know her. She's been dating my son for 4 years.
Barely know her. How old are they?
21.
Oh, no, you don't know. They don't even know themselves.
Oh,
They don't even know. They don't even know each other themselves. 21, and they've been going out for how long?
4 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it would be good for him not to go either.
Oh,
BJ can't go, and not only they can't go, he can't.
Now's
Poor
a good
Pete.
time to have a bit of time apart to reassess where they're at, and that
Just
he's too
you
young to be
wait.
settling down.
are you saying this is a great way to test the relationship?
Yes, that's what it sounds like.
He can put it any way he wants. Just feel 21 is too young. Too young.
I didn't say he was getting married. I said he's going to her graduation.
Well,
He
slippery
sees no
slope, isn't it?
difference.
It's a
Slippery slope.
Apparently, they do things different in the UK than they do here.
Good luck to you.
We have got to go here.
If I was there, if I was his dad, I would take him anywhere but to you. Yeah, we're going. Yeah, we'll be there. Oh, I'm lost. Oh well, let's go to
I
the
didn't
bar.
make it.
Yeah,
Let's go to this bar and chat up these ladies and find out what they're about.
Oh,
yeah. Pete's like, Tanya asked me to go play video games, and I ended up married.
we only went to a museum, and now look.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't think Pete's had a great weekend.
I've had a great weekend. Yeah. I'm just giving some real world advice. When I hear of 21-year-olds going out with someone for that long, I'm sure she's lovely. But there are lots of lovely people out there, and he hasn't met enough of them. Good luck with the marriage. I'm the last person you should take dating advice from.
Says disclaimer.
So, Pete, have you ever been to a free comic book day at all?
No.
No. He's never going to go to free comic book day.
No, but I feel like this would be the right time to go.
Coming for comic book day instead of the graduation.
Oh, that's right.
That would really test how much he liked me. If he texted her and said, "Look, I really want to be there, but
he should show up late. He should show up late with a handful of free books at a free comic book day." Sorry, I was at the comic book store picking up comics.
You should say to people, you're missing free comic book day by being here.
Trying to get people to leave.
Pete, you don't know. I mean, Roland can't hear. I'm going to turn him off right now. They're trying to get him out of the house. This is not going to help. If he misses this, he won't. Okay, turn Roland back on now. Yeah.
I should show up with a T-shirt that says "Free comic books today." Free comic book day is today, and I'm here instead.
Yeah. I could have went to your graduation. Free comic book day.
For someone I don't even know.
Tommy, what about you? What is the first time you remember a free comic book?
My whole thing about free comic book day is a little different than y'all's, especially Pete's. Because I started doing free comic book day back in the 90s, apparently, when it didn't exist. And it only started happening since I moved from Mississippi down to Florida. But we would always drive back. We'd go to Scott Huberman's shop, and he'd always invite us. And Scott always made it a big deal. And he'd have people in there that had, he would run advertisements and
for those who don't know, that's
in Biloxi,
Mississippi, called Alarm Comics.
3 Alarm Comics. Yep.
3 Alarm Comics in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah, and he it would be a big extravaganza. He would bring in there's like 20 of us would set up, and he would basically just take the free comic books, and they would be up against the side, and then he would just put tables it was like a little mini con.
Yeah.
And Barry Gregory, your buddy, my business partner, my buddy too, of course. We would always make a trip over there. I would even schedule a free comic book day to be one of those weeks that I'd go back home for a visit from Florida to Mississippi, and just to do the free comic book day, because it was always a big thing, and there was lots of people that never got comics before, and it was always, he would do a tabulation at the end of the day, asking people and stuff, and it was well over 50% of the people that were in there getting books had never got comics before. So he
But now
did it.
one of these. He's one of these. I would hazard a guess, just kind of knowing a little bit what little I know about him. He's one of these that advertises outside of the comic book.
He did,
Right.
and
he
he's
is the kind of guy who would get a billboard,
Yep.
and say free comic book day at 3 Alarm Comics, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know that he ever got a billboard, but that's
sure
the kind of thing.
He would do. He was very, very much a hustler. He was hustling to get people to come in there, new folks. That was always his one day a year that he was trying to make sure he got new folks into the shop, especially kids. He was always trying to get kids into the shop, because those kids will keep coming back, right?
Yes, for years.
Yeah. So apparently that wasn't in the 90s. Apparently that was in the early 2000s. So we would drive. I swear that it was while it was still in Mississippi, but apparently not.
Yeah.
You were visiting.
Apparently, yeah.
Well, Wubba, what's up, Wubba?
Oh,
Hello.
Wubba says, "Nice looking art."
Yay. Yeah, he would know.
Yeah, and for those a few who are not quite sure why that's funny, that's Wubba's art. So
yeah.
I'm coloring off of his. So.
Yes. Yeah, Wubba's pencils, Barb's colors, Barb's
inks,
and Roberta's colors. So, yeah. All right. So Tommy started doing free comic book day before it started.
Yeah.
Roberta, what about you? What is your first memory or knowledge of free comic book day?
Trying to think which one was actually the first. The first one I actually remember going to was in Los Angeles on Melrose, the Golden Apple.
Golden Apple.
And they had a free comic book day, and I just always used to walk around over there. So they had, signage and what have you. So about it when it happened. And I can't remember the name of the store I went to, but there was one in possibly South Pasadena that was about the same time, early 2000s. That was small, and it had a lot of foot traffic there, and so an awful lot of people were going for the sake of having free comics.
Yeah. Now, would you say there was a lot of new people, like a
lot of new people? Yeah, because it was a lot of foot traffic, and just having it open. Yeah, so they got a lot of new people that day. So I think it was worth it on that end.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember roughly when that was?
I don't know, 2002.
2002. Oh, so one of the very first ones in.
One of the early, maybe. I don't know the exact, but something in that range, early 2000s.
Now, do you kind of go every year now yourself?
Sometimes I go, but not every year, because so much has changed the past 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of these shops close a little on the early side. Unless they're having an event that is on top of it. Usually the free comic book day is kind of over, so I can't get out of town back home and what have you to get going. So that's where it is.
Yeah.
It's good, to have. I think it's probably one of the more beneficial things that people could do if they have normally situated store near where people might walk by and be curious and walk in.
Yeah. Now, have you ever set up as a creator there at a shop, Roberta?
No, I haven't. I probably should.
Yeah, you probably should look into that in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you should be probably surrounded by quite in your area. You probably got quite a few shops to choose from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still around, so I think I should try.
Yeah.
It's a good advice.
And
Thanks.
and Golden Apple was all if I recall correctly, Golden Apple was always Malibu friendly. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
store.
Mhm.
Yeah. They had I went to them when they had Rob Liefeld on the premiere of Youngblood, which was published by Malibu
Oh,
Comics.
wow.
yeah,
It didn't
That's
even have
right.
the image logo. It had the arches, the old
Right.
school.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean the line was out the door around the block. It was
That's
insane.
crazy. Yeah.
They always had great signings.
Yeah.
I think people like comics.
Yeah. Those were kind of the first rock star days of creators, wasn't it? The image guys.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
definitely.
I can remember going to shows before then, and people didn't have lines like that. Not even the Jack Kirby's and the Stan Lees. Those guys didn't have. I walked up to Jack Kirby and shook his hand. You know.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I walked up to, before Marvel bought us, walked up to Stan Lee and, got him to sign my comic and had a conversation with him, not a long conversation, but, I did just, hey, did George, work, blah, blah, blah. Thank you, but, after the image guys came along, suddenly everything turned into, these guys became rock stars, and next thing you know, these celebrities like Stan were showing up, and $120 to stand in line for 4 hours to see Stan and get him to get a 5-second picture taken with him.
You're like,
Yeah, that I think this is not the topic of that day, but I think my kind of decade out of comics. That's the big change that I saw. I saw us go from somewhat popular conventions to sold out San Diego's and people standing in line and paying 60, 80, $100 for autographs of the third zombie from the left on Walking Dead. I'm like, what has happened here? I don't understand. So, you don't think things change, but man, 7 years, things, or 10 years ish, things changed a lot. So yeah, Robbie, you should you should make plans to do that. So Tommy, did you ever go to Free Comic Book Day as a fan, or have you pretty much always set up?
No, there was a couple of times since I've been here, that I just stopped by a store or whatever a few times. But no, since I've been, since I've been here, it's hanging out with you. We would always, you and I hit up a bunch of, or I'd run to the Cove. So I've always been set up. But I think there's been one or two maybe in the past only 20 years, apparently, since this hasn't been happening since the 90s. So, but for the most part, I was always set up.
Yeah. Hey, here's a name we haven't seen in a while. Oven. What's up, Oven? This is hello, Silverline family. How are you doing, Oven?
Yeah.
I hadn't seen your name. Good sir. Hope you are doing well. We are jamming right along. You see Roberta's coloring on Cat and Mouse, and we're jamming right along here on stuff. Good to see you, sir.
Well, did you ever go to any?
I never did. I never did. I never went to one just as a fan, and I think part of that was because, during that decade, I was like, "Yeah, I'm done with comics. Why would I go get free comics if I'm done?" And so it really, and the reason I went in 2015, my first year, was because that's when I did that book with that's when I did Tiny.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, well, and I got the invite, so I'm like, okay. So, but I did a couple graphic novels in the like 2009 and 10, but I didn't go to comic shops. I went to bookstores to do signings for those because those were adaptations of classic novels, and the bookstores were interested in having me in to do those. So
How was that versus? I mean, was it a very big difference? I would imagine, right?
Oh, the crowd is completely different.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
yeah. The crowd is completely different. And I would spend time. Back then, I would go to libraries and do, give sessions on writing. Some of them covered comics, but yeah, I thought after quote having left comics that was where I was headed in a more sort of literary direction. And yeah, the libraries are completely different customer base, reader base, than comic shows are. Yeah, it was interesting. I will say this: I found that the people who went to the bookstores were often willing to give something a shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're like, I've never heard of you, but here you are, and you're going to sign my book. I'll give it a try. And that's something that I've always appreciated as one who makes the content. Is like, you know what, somebody they don't know who I am from Adam, and yet because here I am, and we had a pleasant conversation, they're willing to plop down some money and give it a shot. At comic shows, people walk by. I don't see Spider-Man. Keep going.
Happened.
See
I don't
Pete
know
on
you.
his head. Ovid says he's doing okay and he saved plenty for MegaCon. Woo woo! Sounds good. So Ovid, I think we are going to end up. I think there's going to be a gaggle of us coming back down to Kissimmee this year. Still talking with Louis down there about I think it's called Infinity Toy and Comic Show, and so I think there's going to be a handful of us. I think Louis is going to work something out and get a handful of us down there. So I'm looking forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Louis always runs a good show. Now that's considerably south of where I am. So Daytona is to the north, where Infinity is down to the south. Yeah, I think Jose may even make the drive up for that one. So
Cool.
Yeah. So Curtis, I heard you say something about stores limiting how many you could get, and so I went on to the website while you were talking. I was paying attention, but so they have 2 levels for Free Comic Book Day, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what these levels mean. But it could be something about what Pete was mentioning earlier. You had to buy so many books to get these levels. So I don't know what they mean, but there are 35 on the silver level, and then there are 11 books on the gold level. So obviously there's fewer gold books, so one would assume you've got to spend more money to get onto the gold level. But I think every show that I've ever been to, or every Free Comic Book Day that I've ever been to, they did limit. Now, some of them limited 3, some of them limited 5. Now, here's the funny thing about that. Now, this is when I first realized, I think this is when I kind of realized that there was a lot of fans who were doing this, because I can't tell you the number of times they would come by and say, yeah, I got my 3 here. Now we got to hurry up and get over to the next store.
Ooh.
And they were going from store to store to store to store to get the limit. Like this store will only let you have 3. This store will only let you have 5. This store will let you have whatever. And so they were going from store to store to store to store to store.
Or get multiple copies of certain things. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, multiple copies or whatever. They were getting the limit at multiple stores. So I mean, I don't know if they were getting the same ones because they thought it would be collectible. I don't know. I didn't hear that part of it, but I did hear that they were going to multiple stores. Hovind says, very cool. It's one of my personal faves, talking about Louis' show in Kissimmee. Yeah, it's a good show. And then Ryan's popping in today. He says, hello, everyone. Free Comic Book Day coming soon. Woo woo.
Good.
And then he'd say, I say Free Comic Book Day is working. Well, that's kind of one of the things that we'll get around to a little bit after we kind of get through our experiences, is talk about whether we think it works or not. But I think I was at Curtis, right? Curtis, what?
Yeah, you're talking about the limits.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We're talking about limits. Yeah. So, so yeah, I think there's that. One year, I think there was a year Tommy and I set up at one of the local shows, one of the local stores that wasn't Coliseum. I think I've done 3 that are not Coliseum, and then I ended up talking to Aaron. He's like, basically, this can be your home, and I'm like, Aaron from Coliseum of Comics, and I'm like, okay, that works for me, because one of them I did was terrible. And I won't mention it, but it was also in a mall. But I think they were more focused on putting beer into people's hands and food than comic books. And so it was a terrible show.
They had it was alcohol at a free comic book.
Yep. Now you couldn't get your comic book bud. You had to go to the back of the store and order it. But
Wow.
but yeah, they and that's
So,
what.
a shop that had a beer section. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
A little sort of
A little restaurant kind of
little
a
restaurant thing. Yeah. And yeah. So
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, I know you do. Yeah, we won't call out any names.
No.
But the other one we did. So Tommy and I did one that had Alex Savick there,
Oh, cool.
and yeah, it was kind of good. But that's where I heard. That's one of the places I heard people talking about running to the different shops. But I had looked through the books, and I'm like, well, I'll wait, because I was going to pick up a couple. This goes back, I was going to pick up a couple, bring them home to my kids, Brett and Brittany and everything. And I waited until the end of the day, and they were gone.
Wow.
They literally they ran out of. I think.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy, but I think they opened at like 10. They were out of comics by like 12:30, and they were open until like 7:00.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then I remember, I think it was that one I pulled out from the check. Well, I got mine. And you go, where did you get yours? And I'm like, I went at the beginning to get
I know, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't get any that year. So the very next year,
had to get my Spider-Man.
I did. Yep. I went up there and I said, "Hey, can I go ahead? Yeah, go ahead and get your comics." And so I grabbed my free comic book day comics before they actually opened the store. But yeah. Oven says, if they have Silverline comics at the Coliseum of Comics in Kissimmee, I'd make my way out there. Well, Oven, we are working slowly on the rest of the chain. So for those of you who don't know, Coliseum, there's about 13 stores in the Florida area. Yeah. Now, Aaron, the guy who will be on with us next week, he owns 2 of those. And so Silverline are in his 2 shops. But we are going to continue to work hard. And I think for me, and Aaron's probably not listening to this, but for me, part of what we're doing with our relationship with Aaron is kind of proven. We're proving that Silverline can produce the content and deliver, and I think that because Aaron's been supporting us for a little more than a year now on everything that we've done. Maybe even going closer to 2 years. So I think this is a good way to kind of get into Coliseum, to show them that we're not a kind of a fly by night kind of thing, here today, gone tomorrow. And if they order something for the other stores that we're going to deliver, because I know that a lot of these retailers are afraid of being burned by independent comics. Yeah, well, I gave you X amount of dollars and then I never saw the first comic book. And so I think, at least it is my hope anyway, that by working with Aaron, who's been so supportive of us, that this will hopefully spread out to the other stores as well. So,
well, and he knows that we'll go in there and do a little signing for him.
Yeah.
When they come out.
And we'll support it locally here, because we can. It doesn't cost him anything to get us into the store. We live here. So hopefully, Oven, in the not too distant future, you'll be able to see Silverline Comics in all of the Coliseum of Comics shops. So, yeah. So any other stories, free comic day stories like that? Anybody want to mention?
I'm not sure if you're gonna get to my main story about doing or one of my funny anecdotal stories is people come in because they want us to set up, right, when we're at
Yeah.
the show. And they come by and everybody starts grabbing your
Oh
book,
yeah.
thinking that they're part of the free comic book. Other, I mean, there's a specific area that's got the free comic books, right? And then all of a sudden you'll always hear somebody, they'll go through to the regular rack and start grabbing trade paperbacks and stuff, and they're thinking that everything is free.
Everything is free. Yeah.
Copy of graphic novel of Watchmen.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And you're like, no.
Yeah. No, that is also very true. That's happened. Oh no, I'm sorry. That one's not free. You got to pay for this one.
Well, I thought it was free comic book day. That's the table over there.
Right. Yeah. All of those are free, not these. I worked hard on these. You got. Yeah. That is kind of funny.
Yeah. Every time it happens, every single time, and it doesn't matter what store or what where I'm set up to on free comic book day. It always happens at every store.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you just got to be nice and go no. So everybody will know you put prices up, bigger than maybe normal that you do to make sure people know that this costs this costs that, this costs the other. Yeah, it's mostly little kids because they're walking around with their free comics and they just go at your table and they just see more comics and they're not. Yeah. The parents probably know, but the little kids are just grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
Just little kids? I think it's not.
Well, big kids too, I think.
Middle-aged kids.
All right, so let's go back to this a little bit. So Ryan says, I'd say free comic book day is working. So let's talk about that. We've already said they give away millions of comics, right? And I think even the website says something to that effect. So I don't want to blast it because I love free comic book day, and like I said, it's always fun setting up a Coliseum of Comics. But is it working? What do you guys think? Is it working?
I think only the comic stores can answer that.
Yeah.
I personally don't see it, but I don't own a store, so I don't see how. I don't see how it does. I don't know. I can't see it.
It's like how many reoccurring are people that would come back? I don't know.
That's what it's about, isn't it? It's I really like this free one. I'm going to go back and buy them. I'll buy more. Only the comic book store is going to really answer that. And how do they monitor that? Do they have them do a survey when they come back and say, "Why have you come in today?" Oh, because I got a free comic book store.
Yeah.
Or do they see a massive bump in comic sales after free comic book day?
Well, okay. Now that I
continue.
think we can address, right? That's something that we can, because enough of
We
them
can
report
track
it.
that.
Yeah,
the comic stores can track that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I would ask, do you guys ever see anybody saying, "Hey, my sales have really increased since free comic book day"?
Or have you got any more of this? Any more of these? Any more of those free comics?
I don't know. I haven't. I don't know enough retailers, Yeah. But I can say for running my own business it's been almost 20 years now. Personally, my experience with free usually doesn't go well.
Right.
They expect it. You attract the wrong clientele, and then people want discounts or other things. I had somebody once ask me if they could get 50% off for martial arts classes, and I said, okay, I'll teach you 50% less of the time, 50% less of the effort, and then it's a deal. They didn't like that, but I'll say this.
Yes, I'll charge you 50%. You come in every other lesson, right?
And I'll just be like sitting with a big gulp, just like yeah, do that again, But I mean, the thing is it took me personally for business a long time to realize that people who don't want to pay full price for something is not the customer that I want, and it's okay to lose people who aren't going to pay you.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know enough retailers in this instance to say, but that's just my personal experience in commerce. Let's just put it that way. So I think I've gotten used to the same when somebody wants something for free. I said it literally costs me less to do nothing for you.
Right. Yeah.
I would rather do nothing than do it at a discount.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all.
I've said that before. I definitely said that before.
Well, and and I know you guys know this, but I know a lot of people don't always. But these things right here, I absolutely love these. Right?
Yeah.
These are fantastic. But these weren't free to make.
Oh yeah.
No.
I had to pay to get these made. So every time we give them out at a table, I'm
You
giving
cry a
somebody-
little.
Yeah, I'm like,
Sorry.
here's some money for you. 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 Right? I mean, I'm literally just handing somebody some money.
I thought those grew on trees.
Yeah. Now, again, I absolutely love these. I think these are fantastic, right? And I love seeing them at shows and that kind of thing. But that's that whenever we've talked about, and BJ and I talk. We toss things back and forth all the time, right? Because the idea of something free at your table is to make somebody stop. And you can ask Tommy, who's been to enough shows with me, if I can get someone to stop and express some interest, I'll tell them about our comics. But the sometimes the challenge is getting them to stop. I kid you not. I'm like, hey, I'll send them, hey, can I tell you about my comics?
No.
People have literally looked at me and said, no thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you could.
why are you at a comic show?
Why are you here?
Why are
Yeah,
you
exactly.
here?
Well, I feel you, Roland, on the bracelets. It's like I spent money on stickers once because we did like a parade at the community and all that stuff, and you have there's a limited print, there's a minimum print run. So I probably spent $100 or more on these stupid stickers, and of course in my mind I'm like, okay, people are going to put it on their binder or they're going to put it places and it's advertising. And you see them, they take the sticker, and I know this thing is like $1 almost each, and they'll like peel it off and then just put it on their shirt. And then just like, oh my gosh,
no.
you're killing me. That's just like money. That's money disappearing out of my hand.
So I'll take you one just a little bit further there, Curtis. So this exact same scenario, only here's what happened. We were at a show. See, I'm trying to say enough that I can say that Tommy would know without giving away the show. We were at a show in Kentucky, and I had
that was enough. I gotta know which one.
And so I made a bunch of I love comics stickers, right? And I'm like, this would be great to hey, buy a comic and get a free sticker, And I had one. I made up, and of course, if you make them like 3 of them, those cost more. And I made up just a few that said I make comics. You guys probably all got one from me, or at least when I had them. It just a little sticker that says I make comics. Well, I handed one to the guy next to me who I've known for a long time, and his significant other was there with him. She took it. Oh, this is great. Took it off and slapped it on his shirt, and I'm like, what are you doing? Put that on the back of your car. I was like, so all right, well, she just threw that away. It's like,
I never, it's a separate story, but this is the closest I can come to bringing it. Like I was, working at Malibu Comics. I love Malibu Comics, best experience ever. And we had these cool hats, baseball caps that were amazing. And I was at a barber shop a couple years after Malibu closed, and I saw a guy with the hat on. Wow. And I was so excited. I went to him like, oh my gosh, so Malibu Comics. I'm like, so did you work there? And the guy goes, oh, I thought it was like a comedian company, like comics. He goes, I got it at a garage sale. I was like, do you know how valuable that hat is? That's like,
really, let's go.
That was for comedians. It was a comic group.
Well, at one point in time, whenever I would tell somebody that I worked in comics, that is usually that was not usually, that was often the first thing I was asked. Oh, you're a comedian. No, not that kind. So all right, so back to the do we think it's working? So I think so. Here's a couple of thoughts. Number one, I don't think they would continue to do it if it wasn't a money-making thing.
I was fixing. That's where I was going to wait till we got to that part. That's where I was going to go.
I have to counter that with: have you seen some of the comic books that are coming out these days and seen the numbers on sales?
so here's what I think, though. Okay, here's what I think. I don't know that it is giving us. I don't know that any, because I don't ever see any retailers say, yes, my customer base has grown, by 10% every year after Free Comic Book Day. I have never seen a retailer post that. What I have seen is, this is my best single day of the year.
Yeah.
It brings people in.
It brings people in, and they not do they just get the free comics, but they spend the money. So they have a great day that day.
It's worth it that one day.
It's worth it for that one day.
I could see that.
And so that's kind of my thoughts on it. Is it working? Is it worth it? Kind of thing. I think those are kind of two different questions. Is it working? Well, depends on what you mean. Is it working? Is it making money? Yeah, for that day it is, but I don't think it's bringing any. And I'm not saying it never works. No one ever does it. I'm just saying I don't think that it's really bringing in the numbers. I don't think it's creating as many new fans every year as they thought it would, think it would, hope it would, wish it would, whatever. We even would like to see that happen, right? We want to see new comic book fans made. But what I do think is, I think it's making the money for that day.
So that's a good point. I mean, you may not be able to convert new people, but if you can increase sales, then that's always a good thing. So I could see that.
Is it paying for itself? At least the money that you spent for all those books. I don't know.
Yeah. We should ask this of our guest next week. I'd be very curious what.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. That'd be very interesting here.
Yeah, that would be. You got to remember that, Curtis. You got to remember that question.
By the way.
Yeah. That'll be fun. It'll be a good one. So other thoughts about that? I kind of shot my wad there. Anybody got any other thoughts about that?
No, you were reading. You read my notes. Those were the things that I was going to say. Exactly. What I was going to say. Yeah. I mean, was it? Pretty much word for word. Did we talk about this when we were bike riding yesterday? I think we did, didn't we? No.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. You stole my thunder. I do know that that one day for sure over at the 3 Alarm Comics, that because he made it such a big deal, I know I can say that it was worth it for him. It was always worth it for him. Now, some of the other shops that we've gone to, it seems like people were jumping in there to get their books and then just getting out of there. But Scott made it into a big party. So I don't know. Maybe Scott just wanted the party.
I think you both bring up a good point. I was reading this book recently, and they had a fascinating thing about the fine art dealing world. And so, if you go to like museums and stuff, you'll see this piece of artwork's donated by like the Smith Foundation or the whatever family or whatever. And what actually kind of started that thing was there was an art dealer in New York who was very successful and was selling all this art to his high-end clientele. But he reached a problem, which is they started running out of space on their walls to have art.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So what he did is he turned around and he created his own museum where he would host their art. And so when he would host their art, they freed up their wall space in their places. And so he was able to sell more art, and they got the appearance of being altruistic by being a donor to this big thing. And that's why you see all these museums now have this piece is from the Smith collection or from the Brandt collection or whatever. And it also allowed it for the market the value of the art still stayed high because he didn't have to drop the prices and it went to the commoners. So I mean, there's some people are thinking on a whole different level about business, and I never would have thought that, I never would have thought that. So
no, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah,
so,
and I think
what museum we need that. Yeah. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, and I think thinking outside of the box is kind of something that you have to do. And this could be a whole nother tangent, maybe something for next week. I think that comics in general don't think outside the box anymore. As Pete noted earlier, it's the comic book shop. If you're going to if you're going to buy comics, you're going to the comic shop. And our friend Barry, I don't know if he's got it from someone else, but Tommy, help me say this right. What did he say? It's a destination purchase, right? In other words, if you're going to buy a comic, you have to get in your car, drive to the comic shop with the intent to buy a comic book. Mm-hmm. You don't just, I've got to go buy milk. Oh, look, there's a comic book, and happen to buy a comic. You don't do that anymore.
Yeah, no impulse buying.
Yeah, there's no impulse buying. You literally have to intend to go buy a comic. And people say, well, what about, comic conventions? I'm like, it's a comic convention. Yeah. Even if they're going there to see, the third zombie from the left, it's still a comic convention. They're going there kind of with the same general intent to see, geeky, nerdy stuff. So you're not really getting people making impulse buys at the 7-Eleven.
I know DC have put some special Walmart books in for Walmart, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think that was a clever idea. I think that's.
I do too.
I know. I hate to cut out comic book retailers, but if you want to reach more people, you've got to just put it so you can just shop in longer. Oh, it's by the checkout. Go on, yeah, it's $3. We'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like sweets. The sweets are sorry, I don't know what the candy.
Right. Yeah, candy.
Language. Yeah. Candy is by the checkout. So you just grab it. You think, oh, I'm hungry. I'll just have that. That's why they put it there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and that's it. That is that if you ever noticed, and the checkout lines, there's all these tiny little things, right? There's all these. There's not any big things up there. There's all these little boxes of all these candy and magazines, and that's where I saw the DC stuff. It's like, oh look, DC Comics is doing this. What is this?
No, totally. And the kids are going to see it, and they're going to tell the parents, and the parents are just like, if I can shut them up and spend $1 or $2 or whatever,
I know you guys have heard me talk about the way I got into comics, reading myself, and that's exactly what it was. I spotted a comic book, and because I was with my mom grocery shopping, I'm like, look, I have no idea who that is, but it looks really cool and colorful, and I want it. I want it now.
I was just buying candy at 7-Eleven.
Yeah. They sold reprints. They sold reprints of Spider-Man and the X-Men when I was younger. It was by an English publisher, Titan, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Someone. They obviously just reprinted stories from Marvel and DC, and they sold them in what we call news agents. It's like a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
You have them everywhere. So you just walked in there, and I was like, oh, Spider-Man. I've been watching him on a cartoon. I'll have that. And then from there, I went on and found a comic book store and bought comics from them.
Yeah.
But, so few places do those now. They do the reprints. We do have a couple of stores that sell comics, like kids' comics, like the Beano and the Dandy, and even Judge Dredd. It's English, so going to those magazine stores.
Yeah.
But not American comics.
No.
Don't go in them.
Yeah.
They sell only to the comic book publishers. This is an age-old problem, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to solve it now, but yeah.
Oven says the major comic industry thinks that they got your money, so they're trying to attract vocal customers that don't buy books.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Comic book buyers will always go back to the comic store and buy comics. The problem is there's so much choice now.
Yeah,
it's not just Marvel and DC. So,
listen. Oven's got a good one here. He goes, what worried me about cons is if I buy one and I love it, when am I going to see that creator again and buy issue number 2?
Well, see, there's a way to parlay that, right? And I think you take an emailing list. I mean, I could easily see probably the easy solution is just to say, hey, if you're at a convention, as soon as somebody buys that, or you can even say that ahead of time, say, hey, we'll put you on the mailing list and let you know when the next one's coming out.
Yeah.
That might be a way to kind of safeguard it,
Yeah, should do that.
Yeah, it's a shame though that the digital.
I had the email address down, so you say, "Oh, we'll email you in."
Yeah.
News. If they don't put the email address down, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you do it there, but every time you check out somewhere now in a shop, they ask you to email you the receipt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Email,
Yeah.
and the idea is they just want your email address and they bombard you from there on.
That's true, huh? I never thought of it that way, but that makes perfect sense. Now you're on their email list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Very interesting. But it's a shame the digital market, like, Roland, you always talk about how there's so much piracy, because that I could see that as being the solution to a lot of troubles in that regard, but if it wasn't for the whole piracy issue being such a big thing, but
Yeah.
yeah. I remember when Marvel was trying to make inroads into Japan, and that's actually when I was working at Malibu, but they started translating all the Marvel books into Japanese. And then maybe 4 or 5 years later, I went to Tokyo to work on a video game. And the funniest thing is I would be in the States and you'd see at Malibu or other places, you'd see the American artists have like Dragon Ball and all these characters. And then I went to Tokyo and the collector's item in the video game studios, they would have like Spider-Man action figure, Iron Man, the Thing. That was like the exotic kind of crazy thing that they would
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah. One point I would point out about one of the things Owen said about buying issue 2 is that I think there's also, I don't know that I'm not asking Owen, so I'm not asking you to answer this. I don't know how old Owen is, but one of the things I remember, one of my concerns, certainly from the 90s, is that would we see the second issue? Not when, but would. There were a lot of Image was pretty bad at it about that for one point in time. They put out an issue or maybe 2, but they wouldn't finish it. So you've got these incomplete series, and you're like, well, now what do you do? I've got the first issue, or I got the first 2 issues, and I'd like to see it, but I'm probably not ever going to see it.
Yeah,
that can be frustrating as a fan. I think today, though, we live in such a technologically advanced day that I do think that's the good answer is like, hey, let me put you on an email. Silverline has an email list. Mostly what we do is we send out our blogs. When our blogs are published, they're sent to the email base. But to say that is that our blogs always cover the Kickstarters. They cover often our appearances, not always the appearances, but they kind of they're keeping whoever's subscribed to it, they're keeping them updated. And so that's certainly an option for us, for Silverline and our books, is that, hey, you want to keep apprised, we'll sign up. Obviously we've got all the social medias going as much as we possibly can, but the email list is probably the most assured way that you'll see something.
Definitely. I mean, that could be a really easy way just to say it, right out front. So, like when you're trying to pitch a book, be like, hey, if you're concerned about this, we'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, I know we have one backer, because we have seen him post on Facebook sometimes. We have one backer that is certainly one of his concerns, is like, why are you doing these new number 1s when why don't you finish your other stuff? And I'm like, well, and I get that he doesn't understand the way that it all works. It's like, well, part of it is that we're not finished with those other books yet. We everybody's got day jobs, and it takes us. We're not on the Marvel DC 4-week schedule. We cannot be. That is just not the way that we can do it. But we can. Somebody else can make this other book, right? And somebody else can make this other book. And so we want to keep. We want to keep ourselves in front of people. That's what we do. We have to keep showing something new. And Kalis is what I always point out. Then is like, look, Kalis is done.
Yeah.
Fry Rush is John is inking the last issue. For Trumps, Pete literally just finished the pencils for 4. Tommy's inking it. You see number 4 of Cat and Mouse right there. Roberta's coloring it. Divinity, Barb's working on number 3. So these things are moving forward. They're just not moving forward at a Marvel and DC corporate pace.
And how many times have you heard somebody say, well, I really don't like buying floppies. I'll wait until the graphic novel comes out. And I just want to say,
a lot.
if we don't get enough people supporting these floppies, that graphic novel ain't coming out.
Right. Yeah. Oh, more times than I can count how I heard that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, Owen said, I wasn't asking Owen, but he says, I'm 33, but more specifically, a creator has 4 or 5 issues available. I buy one, love it, but I'm worried I'm never going to see that person at a con again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Well,
can happen.
yeah, it happens. I mean, hey, listen, we're fortunate that Pete's gonna make a Florida appearance here in September. But the thing you have to consider, Pete's coming from the UK. This is a great opportunity. Now, Pete's a young fella, and so he may have a whole lot of more trips to Florida in his future. Plus, he's going to be a dad soon, so got to bring him to Disney. So, but I as I said earlier, I'm going to Three Rivers Comic Con in Pittsburgh. I've been making comics for 30 years. This is my first time there ever. Am I going to go back? I don't know about that. Probably depends on whether the convention up there likes me, wants to bring me back. So I don't know. Yeah, Oven says, so you roll the dice, so to speak, and buy it or ignore it. Yeah.
Well, the cool thing that everything is, with Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. It's easier now. It is like you said. It was back in the late '90s. Lots of new things came out, and never the second issue or third issue ever came out. But now, you can. It's easier to contact the people and throw something on their page and go, hey, where's that issue 2? And they can't. It's easier to talk to people now.
Yeah. It's easier to get in touch with them.
Yep.
And again, that's the social media thing. You can find them on, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever. All these new ones coming out now. You can. They're not generally hard to find. As Pete likes to say, go to the Google.
Go to the Google
and type in their names, and you'll probably find them. The question though is, and I'm not sure if this is kind of what Owen's getting at or not, is that do you want to see them or do you want to see their work? If you want to see them in person, that's a chance that you're going to have to take. But if you see someone in person and you get their work and you like it, do you have to see them again, or do you just is it I want to get their work so I can support them? For me, it usually ends up I like this work, and if they were if my experience with them was nice, then I'm like, I'm going to try to support them when I can, even if I can't see them.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to some other business owners, like friends of mine that have a very successful martial arts school, and it's way more commercial than mine was, and they told me, they said, hey, it's that whole what's in it for me, you know. At the end of the day, I was explaining to them in the martial arts culture, you actually give a donation to the Grand Master once a year for their birthday, and that's kind of like the tribute that you give, and it's just what everybody does. And I was trying to explain this to my students that are American. I'm American too, but my wife, who's Chinese, tells me you're more Chinese than me. So go figure. but I try to explain to them this idea of this culture and all this stuff. And I was talking to my friends who were in a very successful martial arts school, and they were like, dude, you don't get it. You're in America. They're like, it's all about what's in it for me. Like, you got to give them a trinket. You got to give them an extra something. What do they get out of it? And so, and it sounds kind of mercenary, but I understand, I understand that mentality, so, I think the more things you can stack on that end, the more people will be loyal, for a price.
I think so. And I think, but you also, I think the other thing is you got to do something that they enjoy. You can't do something. We're making comic books, right? So you can't put out a comic book that's crap. You got to have a good story. They got to get to the end of it and say, they got to read to the end of it, and summation has got to be, that was an enjoyable experience. I would like to have this experience again. For the next issue.
Well, don't you feel like before the relationship was between the creator and the reader was on the page, like people thought they knew Stan and they knew Jack from the work, from maybe the little editorial blurb, right?
Mhm.
And nowadays, the relationship is actually been bypassed by social media.
Yeah.
And not everybody agrees on everything. And let's put it this, let's be frank, not everybody's personality translates well to
no.
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I would tell my martial arts students, you see the best part of me when I'm doing what I love. So,
Right.
so you see the martial arts version of me. That's the ideal. That's where I have it down. For a lot of creators, the best side of them is their art, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily how they interact with people. And
Right.
I think that kind of got bypassed, right, with social media. You know, maybe you shouldn't meet your heroes. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I can just log off now.
Present company notwithstanding.
Yeah. Well, I think I've told the story, and I won't mention the name. But I had a book in the '80s before I became a professional, and it was the first issue, and I'm standing in line, and I really wanted it. The autograph, right? And I'm about 5 deep, and this creator's just being a total jerk to this guy, right? And I'm like, I stand there and listen to some of this abuse for a little bit, and I literally get up. I'm like, I don't want your name on my book, right?
Yeah.
Get your name off my book. And so I leave the line. I leave. I'm like, yeah, I don't want his signature,
Yeah.
And I stopped buying content that this creator made because I thought he was a total tool. Well, I met him once I became an editor at Malibu. He came in the offices, nice as guys could be, and I'm like, what the heck? I realized that. Shocked me. I'll tell you when we're done.
Well, but I think what's in it for me. In other words, sometimes people treat you different. That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, when two times when I became the creative director at Silverline, and when I became this chairman of this Kung Fu Federation, all these people that used to give me the cold shoulder out of the blue. Hey, how's it going? What's going on? It's so good to hear. Dude, you've been friends with me on Facebook for the last 5 years. What?
You haven't said a word to me.
Yeah. And for me, I have no issue. I know I'm the same person I was before I got the title, right? So there could have been that, Roland Man, the fan, versus Roland Man, the guy that determines if I get a paycheck.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know.
I can't wait to hear who this is.
Oh yeah. It won't surprise you to find out who it is, probably. Yeah. So all right. So my clock says 1:43, and or what says we've been going for an hour and 43, and that means it's 9:40. As you guys remember, we're trying to end these around 9:30 now to make our podcast a little more edible, right? And so that's what we're doing now. We're going to try to end this. So Free Comic Book Day. Anybody going to be anywhere this? Curtis, are you going to be set up anywhere this Saturday?
Nope.
Next year, we got to make it happen.
Over there. Yeah, next year definitely.
Next year we got to make it happen. I think we can gather from Pete's early reaction. He's not going to be anywhere.
I've got a graduation.
Somebody's graduation.
Roberta said you're not going anywhere. Roberta,
No.
we got to make next year happen for you too.
Yep.
Tommy, you setting up anywhere?
I'm not going anywhere. I didn't know if I was actually going to be here or in Mississippi, or as we behind the scenes, there's all kind of scheduling problems going on this month. Yeah. So I didn't make arrangements to go anywhere. So I'll probably just go bike riding, and then that'll be about it.
Yeah. So all of you who are listening about Free Comic Book Day, next year we're gonna make us a plan that we're gonna try to make some appearances, probably mostly different places. So we'll be able to hit you where you live. Maybe we might even try to talk Pete into doing one next year. Maybe.
We'll send them some free comic books.
Yeah. So all right, as we close up shop here, let's see. I had this open so I could run through the list. So don't forget that we've got streams coming up on Tuesday. On Tuesday, the guys are going to be talking about penciling a page, style, technique, and more. That's that Silverline show on Tuesday, which starts at 11 p.m. Eastern. So it's 8 for the Pacific crowd. And then on Wednesday, the Wednesday Whammers are going to be the Force of Silverline Awakens. They're going to discuss common universal themes that the Star Wars franchise and their Silverline stories share. What Silverliners can learn from George Lucas's long-lasting success. So all of you Star Wars fans tune in to see how what kind of themes are similar in Star Wars and in Silverline. We will be back here next Sunday, and we'll be talking with Aaron Holland from Coliseum of Comics. And we're going to pepper him with all kind of questions on what we can do for our comics to make them fly off of his shelves, and some of the things that he sees in comics, more specifically independent comics. What else?
When is the Kickstarter coming up? Huh?
Oh, thank you, Curtis. Kickstarter is coming up on the Thursday, May the 5th. You guys, if you're following us on social media, hopefully you've been seeing all of the posts. We're going to have a giant size science fiction extravaganza, and which we're going to have, I think, 70 pages of comic story and art. You'll have Beyond the Stars #1, Obsoletes #1, and Cray #1 remix. So you guys make sure that you get over there and sign up for that. If you haven't signed up for it, but you're like, yeah, I'm not going to sign up, I'm going to pledge anyway, consider signing up anyway, because it helps our numbers grow. And, if you know how it is, if they're larger numbers, people are like, oh, this looks like it's going to be a popular, Kickstarter. I need to sign up for it also. Yeah. And so get over there, and if you haven't signed up, do sign up for it. It doesn't obligate you to anything. Just to sign up. Really, all it does is it just says notify me on launch. And what that does is it will send you an email that says, hey, this Kickstarter has launched. You should go back it. And so you're not obligated to do it. Just the only thing you're obligating to do is to get an email that says it has launched. So if you've not, please consider going over and doing that. So before we say goodbye, shout out again to our sponsor, Daytona Beach Comic Con, September 10th and 11th. Make your plans to be there. Get some cool comics, specifically get some Silverline comics, and there'll be some other folks there as well. Thanks to Coliseum of Comics for being a supporter. If you are in Orlando and you want Silverline comics, drop by Coliseum of Comics on East Colonials. Tell them Silverline sent you, and I'm sure that they'll be extra nice to you. They're nice anyway. Not that they're not nice. They'll be extra nice to you. Shout out to OCD, Orlando Collector Deviants, for always getting a fan-driven perspective on their stuff and having us on there about once a month, every other month, that kind of thing. And, of course, to shout out to Kablam for doing such an awesome job. I think I got to get on to Tommy this week and try to figure out when we're going to get these Wolf Hunter and Sirens books. So
hopefully we'll get started here Monday, Tuesday, get it going.
Excellent. So that's a good sign. And as Curtis says,
don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe.
Excellent. Please do that. Do all whatever medium you're listening to. Make sure you do that. Have I forgotten anything? I feel like I've forgotten something.
Got all our sponsors. I think we're good.
Oh no, I did forget. Yeah, sponsors. Roberta, where can people find you online?
Oh, me? You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram under Roby Conroy. So that's me.
Very cool. Tommy, what about you? Where can folks find you online?
I'm on go to infernostudios.com. You can find some links there. But I have decided that I am going to start making use of my TikTok channel. No. TikTok. And it won't be me twerking or anything, doing dance videos. I'm actually going to start putting some stuff up there. I've decided, since I'm not doing Twitter and I'm not doing some of the other ones, I am going to do TikTok.
Okay.
Okay.
Look for me on Tommy, don't TikTok. And I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to name it that. I had a real thought about, should I change it to something that's not stupid? And I'm like, no, that just sounds funny. So I'm being like the bad guy of TikTok. Yeah, Tommy, don't TikTok. Go there.
I think you still owe a twerking video, don't you?
Oh, here we go. Baby Yoda can twerk.
Pete, what about you? Where can folks find you online?
On the Google, type in my name, Peter Clinton, and then add art, A-R-T on the end, and there I am. It's very
Easy
simple.
breezy.
What I like about Google is it's very easy to use.
Yes, it is.
Unless you can't spell. If you can't spell, you've got all sorts.
Yeah.
I'd say
Well,
if you can't spell, you've got
there's
to
another problem.
be able to
Well,
find me on the internet.
It's
But-
very fortunate that you don't have one of those names that's difficult to spell, right?
No. Can you
If-
imagine?
If
If it was spelled Flottimonte or something.
That's fine.
Imagine.
Curtis, what about you? Where can folks find you online?
Sure. 2 sites, and they both have all my social media. You can go to for my comic book, www.theshadowghost.com, and for my martial arts school, tigercrane.net. It's a newly revised site, and we have all different kind of new access for classes and things like that. So check it out. That's good.
Sweet.
Mhm.
And you can find me at Roland Man or Man Roland. I think I am on Twitter, on all the social media sites. Look me up there. But until next time, remember to make my
Mind
Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm Greg Horn. Make mine Silverline.